up, everybody? Meriden Gaming here, and we're back for another World of Tanks Tech Tree Tank Showcase and Review. Today we're taking a look at the Tier 10 American Assault Tank Destroyer, T110E3. Now this is the next in line after the T95, and honestly it's just a taller version of it. And yeah, pretty beastly. The thing with the T110E3 is most people see this lovely cupola up here, and yeah, that thing's not pinnable very easily. You've also got, pretty good armor all around the front. Main problem is your lower plate. Now on the T95, the lower plate is much smaller and harder to hit. But as long as you can keep this covered, you're going to be a beast when it comes to taking on just about everything. Let's go ahead and look at the armor. So yeah, as you can see, ricochet angles down the side. But yeah, this lower plate is going to be your problem. Now this is with about 300 pin. If we step it up to the 375 of the gold rounds of this thing, you can see there starts to open up a few more spots that you can try to pin. But trying to hit those angles is sometimes rather difficult, especially if they're wiggling back and forth. It makes it much more difficult to pin. But the one thing you do have to watch out for if you're playing this tank, yeah, the top of your tank is pretty lightly armored. See, even HE, so those artillery, can pin you in the top. Well, this is with 90 pin. But yeah, you're pretty lightly armored on top, so don't let people get above you, shoot down at you. I mean, it depends on the angle, I guess. Some angles, like on Himmelsdorf, they might be able to get enough higher than you to shoot down into that. But yeah, you definitely have to watch out for artillery, so you gotta stay already safe in this. But that's kind of the similar thing with any of these assault tank destroyers. They have a ton of frontal armor, but the tops are pretty weak. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and get over the comparison. So of course, we have to compare it to the Badger. I mean, that is like the quintessential bunker of a tank. And the funny thing is, even though it's got technically more armor, once you start loading gold, the Badger is Swiss cheese. Then we got the faster assault tank destroyer, the Object 268 version 4. This thing, it doesn't have quite the same armor, but it's got enough armor that it can still assault almost any position. And of course, I'm going to throw in the T110E4, which basically the turret is very strong, the hull is the weak point. So as long as you can stay hull down in that, it's also an assault tank destroyer, which I've already covered in a previous video. But yeah, so let's get down to it. DPM, kind of right in the middle. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Of course, the Badger is like known for being the king of DPM, just because of that fast reload time, and just general. Even though it's less damage, it reloads so much faster that it does more damage in the long run. I want to say it's still the top, or maybe like second. I mean, it's up there for sure. As far as penetration goes, your standard rounds at almost 300, that is beastly. You'll go through every medium, almost every other TD, a lot of the heavy tanks, honestly, because a lot of those only have, 250. Um, and then if you run into something like an IS-7 or a mouse or something like that, you just load your gold and go through them, honestly. This thing is ridiculous. It's a giant gun on tracks. That's exactly what this thing. Reload time, kind of slow, but still not as slow as some of the other options you have, like the T110E4, but not nearly as fast as a Badger. But it's with a gun rammer, it gets it down to, I want to say it's either 13 or 14. It's fast enough that you can pretty much be firing the entire time if you wanted to until you run out of ammo. Because yeah, also like the T110E4, very low ammo count, so you have to make those shots count. And you can't really carry a lot of different types. Like you might want to carry, I would say you carry HE to reset your cap, but honestly, you're probably not going to get back to your cap, but it wouldn't hurt to carry one or two maybe. But yeah, definitely you can load just mostly standard rounds and then just a few gold rounds unless you're facing all tier 10s. You might want to load a few more. Aim time 2.4, not great, not bad. Actually, it is pretty good, honestly. I'm just weird. I like anything under 2, like the Badger. Um, I'm beginning to think I'm doing a Badger review, huh? And then dispersion of 0.35, which is also pretty good for medium brawling ranges, which is what this thing excels at. You just keep that whole cover, or that lower plate covered, and you just go through everything. Depression, gun depression, 8 degrees, which for a non-turreted tank destroyer is really good, honestly. I mean, the Badger's up there too. Yeah, even the T110E3 only has 6. So this will allow you to use those little hills and all those little pieces of rubble to kind of hide your lower plate and just go through enemies. And then we get down to the downside of this tank, the speed. 24. Right there with the mouse, honestly. This thing will just plod along, shooting stuff, but don't expect to be able to get to cap out the enemy, or to return to your cap if you're not near one or the other when it comes time to do so. You basically, you're just kind of like the tip of the spear point. You just plod along, shooting stuff as your allies finish everything off behind you. That being said, it does have okay um, ability to get up stuff. I mean, it's not great, honestly, but it's better than the Badger and the Object 268. But that's not really saying much because that is not very fast at all. Armor, yeah, that's where this thing shines. At least in the front, 305, and because of the angles, it's nearly impenetrable until you start loading, stuff with 375 pin. Whereas the Badger, yes, it says 355, but because of the angles on it, if you load gold with your T110E3, you're going through the Badger every time almost. It's yeah, it's much more flat and straight up, whereas the Badger is leaned back a little bit more to where it has more effective armor. The Object 268, like I said, not quite so much armor. It's just mainly the speed of that one that allows it to be an assault one with the combination of the armor. And then your T110 E4 is kind of the same way, but with um, you have to keep that hole hidden. Camo, yeah, this thing is a big old chonkin' boy, so you don't really have camo. You do have a decent view range, and you can get that up if you really wanted to spend time training your crew or to spot towards the end, but you're so slow that it's going to be very hard for you to spot anyway. So I really wouldn't mess with that or the camo. So, what would we want to do as far as for skills? We're going to have camouflage, of course. Brothers in Arms. Of course, you want Sixth Sense, Snapshot, um, Smooth Ride, and Intuition first. Those are the givens that you always want to get. Right? And then, honestly, I would probably, well, of course, you're going to want repairs too, because people are going to try to take your tracks off so they can get around you. But the next thing I would try to go for would probably be something like off-road driving and clutch braking, because both of these will allow you to get up hills and stuff better, and then also turn around better. So if something starts to try to get your side, you can try to get around, shoot them before they get all the way around you. So those are kind of critical as well. If you actually want to be able to move a lot on the battlefield. And then as far as equipment, you've got a few options here. You can go Vince here, and then gun rammer. And honestly, for the last slot, it kind of depends on how you're going to play it, but I would say a turbo. You could even put a turbo in, or you could even swap these two around if you wanted to. But yeah, you definitely want to have that turbo if it's available. Which brings us up to, let's see what speed we get, 28. It's almost up there with the Badger and the T110. But yeah, it's still pretty slow overall. Gets our reload time down to 14, so much better there. And then of course, because of the Brothers in Arms and the events, our dispersion goes down a little bit, which helps out as well. But yeah, that's pretty much it. You could You could outfit it a few different ways. If you wanted to forego the turbo, you could go with something like improved rotation, which allows you to traverse a little bit better and turn. You could decrease your aiming circle, or you could increase your aim speed if you wanted to, but it's honestly good enough the way it is that you shouldn't have to worry about that. Let's go ahead and get over to the gameplay. Alright, so we're going to be watching Cubus 1706 is T110E3.
Let's get this show on the road.
Nope, got rammed. Ready. So looks like he's gonna go to the heavy tank location. Oh, VK7201K. I don't see those two often. And there's your Object 268. As you can see, that thing moves quite a bit faster. Yeah, everything should be able to pass the T110E3. It's just so slow. Like the two AMXs are fighting out there. Yeah, as you can see, that 268 is almost as fast as the 277, which is considered one of the fastest heavy tanks. He's telling them pull back, but yeah, because they did not get there quick enough. Ooh, there's even a chieftain here. That's gonna be a problem. Oh, now the 268s. Try to catch him coming in. Nice. Big old hit on that 27 or that 705. And the 705 is just gonna sit there in the open. Oh, he had his tracks. So I'm gonna finish him off. Oh, this is not looking good. Because from this angle, he's trying to get. Oh, that was a mistake right there. Oh, that chieftain. Now, I don't like this play because he's space hugging. I mean, that hides his lower plate. Yeah, people, did you see that? The 705 tried to hit his cupola. Because that's what people naturally think. On every other tank, cupola, go for it every time. This thing, no. Not a weak spot. That loads of gold. And boom. 72 is coming up to help. Yeah, this is literally how you play this tank. You try to get where your hull is hidden, which of course the IS-7 was able to hit that lower plate. See, now he's kind of got protection from the sides because of that. Oh. Lucky. Mouse was aiming at that lower plate but hit the crown instead. Yeah, this is gonna get interesting because if they were smart, all these three guys should try to come around. But yeah, the crown bond in the back is helping prevent them from trying to come around. If you saw that with the gold rounds, the IS-7 go through the gun mantlet, through the lower plate, and the IS-7 is known for having kind of trollish armor. Okay, checks to see that the other guy is dead too. Try to hit that. There you go. Nicely done, guys. Nicely done. They did lose quite a few tanks there. They're down 2 tanks already. It looks like their rear flank is pretty much melted. Hopefully that Kronbon's going to stay there in that middle lane to help prevent stuff from coming around behind them. That was a risky play. Oh, he got a unlucky hit there. There you go. Now you got him. Face hug him.
Thanks. All right.
Reload and boom. Face hug again. Yeah, as you can see, this is what a lot of people will try to do, is try to get around to your side. And you just gotta try to keep yourself. There you go. Nicely done. You gotta try to keep your front to him, especially on a slower tank. Now, if he'd been facing down a medium, he might have been in trouble there. Well, they brought it back to where now they're ahead by a tank. Grill 15 is going to take out the artillery, sadly enough. But now it's down to that grill of FUVA, or FP405, and the artillery at this point. But he is low enough that the artillery could one-shot him at this point. Actually, everything could technically one-shot him if they can hit his lower plate or his side. He's like, you two have the FB, I'll go for the grill. Ooh, now they're down to tank. Of course, that last one is artillery. There's the grill. He's got HE loaded to go through that. Right there, yeah. See, that's why you have HE, is for those lightly armored tank destroyers. Just nail it in the turret, and he is gone. Alright, look at that. Already 9.5k, 2,000 damage blocked. Here comes the artillery. He got lucky and didn't get a full-on hit. That was just splash damage. Trying to wait to go unspotted before he goes after. Oh, and now it's down to him against an FE405. But the two opposite spectrums, a turreted TD with a lot of alpha against a very slow assault TD. He's got to be careful not to hit any trees or anything here, because that artillery could get lucky and take him out. I could try to get around here. Yeah, so he's going to be using this hill here for cover from the artillery. Trying to figure out where that FV is. If he's going to try to come around the side, or is he going to... Or is the FV just going to try to go for a draw? That's possible too. Oh, there it is. And right in the turret. On. Those HE rounds. Now he's got to take cover so the artillery doesn't hit him. Comes the artillery, but of course he's going to miss. And now that artillery should have a 30-second or so reload. So once he gets up here, it's pretty much he just has to track down that arty. Because he's going to go unspotted, of course. Question is going to be, can he get to a position to where that arty is and not get shotgunned? Yeah, 10.5k damage, 4 kills. This is a pretty good. This is a pretty good game. I'm enjoying it for sure. Oh, and is trying to run. Amen, 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 and boom, gone. Nicely done, sir. All right. Well, let's go ahead. All right. So, Ace Tanker, Bruiser, Duelist, Fighter, Fire Perfect, and Shellproof, along with the High Caliber. Not bad if I say so myself. 11k, 2,000 blocked, and 5 kills. That is how you play this tank, for sure. Anyway, that's going to be it. This Murder Gaming. If there's a specific tank you want to see next, just let me know in the comments, the most current one. I record about 3 in advance, so it may take a little bit before it shows. But anyway, I'll see you on the battlefield.